Okay. What's going on, everybody? My name is Mang. Welcome back to Solo Roll Manging. We're going to be doing something a little different this time. And look, I know AI is the enemy, it is an atrocity against mankind. It needs to be destroyed before it can go any further. I get it. But, as a tech nerd all my life. I've always been very fascinated by the latest and greatest tech and gadgets and all that. AI can do some cool stuff, no matter how you kind of feel about it. It can do some cool, interesting things. Yeah, I mean, environmental concerns and all that sort of stuff. It's a bummer. Don't get me wrong. What we're going to be doing here today, I'm sure we'll kill a couple trees, but it is what it is. I've done a lot of solo RPG stuff on this channel, and that, so playing a solo RPG for me has mostly consisted of here's like a pre-written module, like a dungeon or something, that I attempt to run through with a party of characters usually, and I try to sort of get into my characters' minds of what they would know versus what I would know, because I can't help but see the layout of the dungeon. I can't help but know what's in the room as I read it and things like that before I act as my characters and be like, well, they wouldn't know this, so they would probably do this. And it's a compromise. It's fun. I mean, we've done a lot of it. I do enjoy it. It is fun. But it is an unfortunate compromise because it doesn't really capture the true essence of playing an RPG, of having that living person on the other side of the table that is in control of everything and knows stuff that you don't. And so I thought about, I've been doing a lot of stuff with Claude and like Archipelago and programming and things like that. And I was like, people have been trying since ChatGPT first hit the scene and stuff. People have definitely been trying to do like AI as a DM, because there are a lot of people that play solo or want to play solo, but they don't want to do what I do, or they have a group and no one wants to DM. All sorts of use cases. But it really never works out. AI just can't keep track of things for a long period of time. It's not really that good at writing. It's certainly not inventive enough or creative enough to come up with interesting plot lines or interesting dungeons or anything of that sort. And I feel that's mostly still the case. But I thought, what I mostly do is just run through dungeons, pre-written dungeons that someone else has created, and a creative individual has gone in and concocted these modules, and I just sit down and I walk through them. And I was like, why can't Claude just do that? Why can't it just basically just run the module for me, and I just don't have to read it? I don't have to look at it. It can actually conceal some things from me that I will not be aware of. And so, I sat down and worked with Claude to see how that would be doable. And it's mostly just like prompt crafting. It's specific project instructions for the most part, with a couple extra things. One is we do have the MCP server for Foundry, so it can actually hook into Foundry and read my character's stats and information, HP, things like that. We can also, apparently, I haven't actually done it yet, I haven't needed to, but it can actually read like token position on the scene. So if we want to do a bit more non-theater of the mind combat, we can actually lay it out on the grid and run it like a tactical combat. I haven't actually needed to do that, though. It does theater of the mind pretty well. The other thing is, the first time I tried it, it was one of the major things that it didn't do well was spatial positioning of geography or geometry of room layouts. It would kind of just start to invent doors or things in the room or exits, entrances that weren't there in the module. And that's kind of a big no-no. We can't have that. So now we actually have it where before I run the module, I go through using a separate Claude chat, and I have it create basically a YAML file that is very explicit. Like it specifically defines every entrance and every exit to the room. And then the actual DM mode is instructed very specifically to only use the YAML for entrances and exits, and never to make up anything that's not in the YAML file. And apparently that's a lot better way of doing it. According to Claude, it says that it'll be much more accurate. So I've done this a couple times. I've spent some time with it. So the first time, yeah, I mean, it was okay. So when it was good the first time, like when it was, when I was getting into it, it was good. It was like the best solo experience I've ever had. It was like almost like Nirvana kind of moment of like, holy shit, I can play like an OSR game by myself and actually play it like a normal player sort of thing. Like, I don't know what's in the next room. I don't know what the layout of this dungeon is. I don't know what's in. I don't even know the factions or anything. I don't know anything about this. I grabbed one of the modules that I've never looked at that I just have, and it was just like, okay, run this, and it was incredible, right? Because I had no idea, and it was like a really really fun little experience. I found out afterwards it was a level 4 module that I was running with a level 1 party. And amazingly, I got out of there with some treasure and only had one person die. So I was like, big success. So then after a few tweaks, I've been doing a second dungeon, and I'm still doing it. It's not finished or anything. I've been doing well. I've not had any character deaths. Oh, very close calls in the first room against a big bat swarm. It's definitely a level 1 module, but it was a level 4 bat swarm in the first room that was pretty nasty. But, oh yeah, it's just so good to finally be able to, like, play as a player in an OSR game. Like, I've finally gotten to do it without having to interact with another human. And just being able to put into practice, like, actually all this stuff that I've built up over the time of playing solo by myself. Of like, well, I think, I would do this and I would do this and this, and it's a lot easier, of course, when you read the module and it's like, well, I'd probably do this because this is the smart thing. It's definitely trickier when you don't know. You have no clue. Like, it's kind of scary and exciting. It has really cemented my love for OSR games. So I was like, okay, I gotta show this on video. I think it's at a point where this is video worthy. So, regardless of, I hope if you're watching this, you can maybe put aside some feelings, how you feel about AI, and just kind of judge it somewhat objectively as an experience that I'm having here. We are using Shadowdark. Shadowdark's my preferred game. We are running it by the book. Like, strictly by the core rulebook with a couple house rules that I've thrown in there, but practically nothing, because I really want the AI to not be confused. The nice thing, of course, nowadays compared to like ChatGPT in the old days, like, I can put the rulebook in a folder and tell it, like, hey, dumbass, look at the fucking rules before you make a ruling, kind of thing, and it will do that. It will consult the rulebook. So it doesn't actually almost ever get any rules wrong, but it's Shadowdark, it's OSR, it does have to make a lot of rulings, and like any DM, you're not always going to agree with it. I find that it occasionally is kind of a harsh DM, but it also is occasionally a pretty generous DM, so it kind of swings both ways there, which is good, I think. And you can push back against it and be like, well, I don't really think that's how it would go. But honestly, I haven't had to do that much. Like, it's just like, okay, you're the DM sort of thing, Who am I to argue? So yeah, we're using Shadowdark because it's a very simple system, very modern system. It's one that I know well, so I can, that helps, I think, for this process for now. But yeah, I would absolutely in the future try out like OSE and just run straight OSE by the book. But yeah, I mean, enough yapping. We want to get to it. So, we are going to be running a level 1 module, like an introductory module. I think a YouTuber made it, called Cursed Knights of Crestmoor. I have not read it. I have not looked at it. I can confirm it is a level 1 module, level 1 to 2. So, we shouldn't have any issues there. Before we get started with that, we are going to make our characters in Foundry, so it shouldn't take too long. This is, again, strictly by the book, and we're just going to go with what we get. So, okay, that is a character. The -3 dex is brutal, but I mean, it is what it is. The problem is, that's a really harsh penalty early on, because that's a massive blow to your AC. So I think, it's annoying because the 14 strength suggests a frontliner, but everything else points to someone in the back. So we could make this like an elven spellcasting priest. 16 wisdom is really good, but we could just as easily go wizard. I'm gonna go priest because down the line I might be able to pick up plate armor, and I could maybe solve some. Yeah, if I get plate armor, AC goes straight to 15, and I can bypass the whole dex problem. So I'm gonna go priest with this one, and we'll go elf. And we're gonna pick up spell, +1 to spell casting checks. Kerwin. Kerwin used to be a soldier. But he was flat-footed, I guess. 35 gold. It's pretty average. Not Odin. Madeira the Covenant. That works for me. Good. 2 hit points. Yes, which is actually 1 hit points. 2 minus 1. 1 hit point. You know, I don't want to have to go through the trouble of remaking a character, so I think we're gonna re-roll that. Okay, I'll stick with 2 hit points. Another +1 to spell. Really, just in the back, support. We get 2 spells. Cure Wounds is just really non-negotiable. Light is pretty good. I would say Protection from Evil is probably the most supportable one. But Light is damn nice. There's just so many use cases for it, for like just putting it on an iron spike and just tossing it into areas and things like that. So yeah, we're gonna go light. I don't know what Kerwin is gonna do most of the time, but that's what we're gonna get. 7 fucking AC and 2 hit points. This guy does not belong in a dungeon whatsoever. But there might be, you know, we're heading into some sort of tomb, I think. Is the I don't know. Cursed Knights, I don't know. There might be undead. That would be Kerwin's time to shine for sure. For inventory, we have 35 gold. I wish there was a better way to shop. I wish there was like a built-in shopping module for Foundry. That would be really handy, so I could just buy, and then buy. It is what it is. So we're always going to grab a crawling kit, and that's 7 gold. Kerwin's weapon restrictions. Club, dagger, longsword, mace, staff, warhammer, crossbow. Crossbow is really his only ranged option. So crossbow it is. It costs 8 gold. I assume the bolts cost 1. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna go with crossbow. So that's 8 gold, 9 gold total. Yada yada. 9 gold. 700 drops us down to 19. Well, I guess, yeah. I mean, leather armor would bump us up to 8 AC. He's really quite bad. He's quite bad. Because a crossbow... Now, he'd probably be better off with just multiple daggers, actually, rather than the crossbow. Like, just carry 5 daggers. Because that lets him throw them with strength, I believe. Alright, nix the crossbow. Nix the bolts. That gets us back 9, but we spent 10 on the leather armor, so we're at 18. And then we're just going to buy daggers. Yeah, we'll buy 5 daggers. Okay. Yeah, then I can throw it with +2. That's a lot better. Okay. I think that's it for Kerwin then. Should have a... Yeah, I know, this is all scuffed. But it's fine. Should be pretty solid on spell casting. +4, I think, is his check. No, +5. Right, yeah. 1 for elf and 1 for cleric. Yeah, +5. Good. He has pretty slim odds of failing cure wounds then. Okay, Kerwin's done. Let me just make sure we mark him as player owner. Then we will make another one. We want a party of 4. It's a standard number. I do it here pretty closely. You know, if you don't roll a 14 or higher, re-roll. I know it's not proper old school. I get it. But it's in the rule book, and we follow the damn rule book. Okay, I think we found our wizard. I'm cool with that. Nothing great on, you know, strength, dex, but +2 con's good. And very charismatic. Let's go with a, yeah, we'll just go with a human. That's fine. Wizard. Nah, I can come up with a better name. Borrelia. And she was a jeweler in a past life. She'll be neutral. That's fine. And she's gonna go with she'll go with nothing. That's fine. 35 gold as well. Good. She ended up with a nice amount of hit points. 6 total. She gets advantage on a spell of her choice. Amazing. And she's gonna grab +2 to intelligence. All right. Excellent. Her spells. Detect magic actually is finally viable because I don't know what's magical or not. Or you know, like, it's actually something that I might take and use. I don't necessarily have to take Magic Missile because I can get advantage on a different spell, but at level 1, your options for a damaging spell are extremely slim, and yeah, so we're gonna take that. It's hard to beat sleep. It's just exceptionally useful. Yeah, I'm gonna take sleep, and then I'm gonna take detect magic. Awesome. And we're gonna get spellcasting advantage. We're gonna go with yeah, I mean, sleep is just the most viable option. All right, advantage on sleep. We're gonna be putting things to sleep left and right. Let me just... So when I cast this, will it... Okay, so why did you ask me what I want advantage on? Oh, it was one of those things. Okay, I don't know. I think it's just probably not integrated. So we're just gonna edit sleep and mark it as advantage. Although there definitely is a way that it works, right? Because this does highlight it as green. So it's just I have to know the specific thing. Maybe it's just sleep. No, I have no idea. No idea. Yeah. All right. Never mind. Good. We're also gonna take our crawling kit, and we're gonna take a dagger. No, I always grab a dagger. I'll be different. I'll grab the staff, which is it's cheaper. It's 5 silver. So that's 20, 27, 27.5. A lot of money. Oil flasks aren't bad, but she's not gonna be very good at using them, and she's hopefully really gonna rely on her spells. So, I think I'll just leave it open for now and maybe spend the money on the fighter or something. Okay, that's her done. Next. Ooh, nice. Okay. Basically viable for kind of everything, but I'm gonna lean thief on this one. Just because of the -1 con. Although, really, that doesn't hurt the fighter almost at all. A -1 on his hit die is not that big of a deal. But, yeah, 12 strength is not perfectly ideal. And the wisdom can help the thief a bit, so alright, we'll go thief. Maybe I go Dwarven Thief, but it's just so hard to beat human, I feel. Because, like, with a human, we can end with 18 dex. And I just feel like that's probably better than the 2 extra hit points. But I hate to just have an all-human party. It's... Well, I guess we already have an elf. Alright, I'll be a human. And his name will be, Sticky... Sticky John. Good old Sticky John. Used to be a forager, and now he never forages ever again. He's got 25 gold, he's neutral, he doesn't worship any deity, done and done. He ended up with 2 hit points, but look what I told you. 18 dex. He'll take his 18 dex to the grave. Awesome. All right, dagger, mandatory. Leather armor, mandatory. I lean towards a short bow for him though, with 2 hit points. I think he'll prefer that most of the time. Okay, and so that's 6, 7, 17, 18 for the arrows. 18 for the arrows, plus the crawling kit. He's sitting at 0. Alright. Easy. Sticky John is done. And now we need the leader of the party. A brave and bold fighter. I'd also accept another priest, though. You can't go wrong too much with a priest. Ooh. Technically viable with a 14 charisma, but this would be not a pleasant character. I know, I'm picky, and I'm not playing by the book here, am I? I'll take it. I'll take it. This guy is going to be a fighter, and it's going to be a dwarf. And he's gonna go grit strength. And his name will be Yuri Bridge Pillar. And he was an enforcer, and he worships Madeira. Sure. Come on, big roll. All right, average roll. Weapon mastery. I could go with something weird like a whip. Doesn't seem intelligent though. Yeah, I don't know why you'd ever go with like a club. I guess it's kind of less variable damage. But I think he'll probably lean. Maybe he'll go short sword. Nah, hand axe. He's a fucking dwarf. Come on. All right, so he rolled twice and kept the higher one, which was 3. Great. And his talent. So +2 to strength is probably the smartest bet. We could, however, I think he's at 6 hit points. We could bump him up to 7, or we could give him an extra AC, or we could give him more strength. All are kind of viable. I'm actually going to go Dex. We're going to get a positive Dex score out of him. So 6 hit points, +1 Dex. Good. Yeah, money is the tricky part. He's going to grab a hand axe. He's going to grab a shield. He's not going to be that stupid. So I think that's 10 for the shield. That's 2. That's 12. So that's 23. Chainmail is fucking 60, by the way. Can I gather up 60? 50, 60. I can just enough gather it. Yeah, I'll have 3 gold left over. He will not be able to afford a crawling kit, but that's alright. 3 gold left over. Alright, that's it. That's the group. We'll see how they do. He's not exactly a fearsome fighter in almost any way, but 16 AC is not bad, level 1 for a fighter when nobody rolled too much money. And nobody had that amazing of stats. Yeah. Okay. I think we're good then. So let me just make sure. Yeah, you're good. Sticky John, good. Yuri, good. All right, awesome. We should be ready to go. So I'm just gonna mention my characters because I have my other characters in here. I don't want it to read them. We have a whiteboard Excalidraw, so I can actually maybe map out the dungeon myself that I've never had to do. I haven't actually done any mapping for the other ones. I've just kind of been doing it by memory, because it helps when you have all the text in front of you, you know, like it's a lot easier to just kind of visualize everything. But we might give a little mapping a try. We are going to have to wait, of course, for it to respond, but it's usually not too long. 20 to 30 seconds is the average. And there it read all our stats from Foundry. We have no luck tokens. We're outdoors. A rutted game trail winds through old oaks, the canopy so thick the sun comes through in coins. The trees part into a clearing. In its far side, set into a low hillside, a humble stone archway slouches under a heavy beard of ivy and lichen, the mouth of Sir Galen's tomb, if the stories hold. Closer to you, a few sagging rows of onions and peppers, half strangled by weeds. A cook fire crackles on bare dirt. A rabbit turns on a spit over it, fat dripping and spitting. Beside the fire, a small iron cauldron bubbles. The smell is savory, almost pleasant, which is the strangest thing here. Two small, scaly figures crouch by the fire. Kobolds. One tends the spit with a stick, the other hunches over the cauldron, stirring with what looks like a broken sword. Neither has spotted you yet. Their backs are mostly to the trail, and the fire crackles loud. Alright. So, right, so it's also instructed after every room description to list all the exits that I can see, which is handy. All right, so we are, I mean, and this is the thing with mapping that I think a lot of people don't get when they just start, is you don't have to map out, like, at the end, your map is not going to look like the DM map, ever. No matter how good you are, it will never look like the DM map. So don't even bother trying. All you really need to know for your map, the purpose of the map is not so you know that this room is 10 feet by 15 feet. You know, the purpose of your map is just to guide you so that you know where you've been and what rooms connect to what other rooms. That's the whole purpose of the map. Everything else is just notes, or you can just ask your DM when you're in the room or something like that, or if you remember, you can ask if your character remembers. So really, your map should mostly just be like circles or just squares, and then lines to other circles or other squares. So yeah, I mean, we can just put in here like a big circle, and then we can just write like entryway outdoors, you know, and then that's going to connect through a line to another room, and I don't know, whatever we'll call that, the foyer or something, the foyer. All right, so I do note, and I probably should have put this in the instructions actually, because I don't think it does a very good job of setting the scene for the module. It usually just like puts you in front of the dungeon, and you're just there, and there's not really any explanation of like what the hook was, or why you're there, what brought you there, or anything like that. It's just like, yeah, you're there. So that is something I will adjust. I should do that. But regardless, we're here. We're at the dungeon, Sir Galen's tomb, and there's a couple kobolds crouching by a fire. Now, I don't know what language kobolds speak in Shadowdark, actually. That's a good question. Probably Draconic, I think, actually, right? I'm not sure. But we can ask our DM, because the DM knows everything. So we'll ask what language they're speaking, and say that we'd like to stay hidden and crouched and over here. Okay. You know, there's no sense charging in immediately and killing a potential source of information, so we'll play it cautiously. Very important in the OSR. You settle into the brush off the trail. There's plenty of cover, brambles, the trunks of a couple of oaks, and the kobolds have the fire popping in their ears. No roll needed to stay unseen from here. The voices drift over, a chittering, clicking pattern with long trailing hisses at the end of words. Quick, argumentative, punctuated by a wet laugh. It's not common. It has the cadence of the reptile tongue. Kobold. Yeah, so here's where it's... It doesn't always get everything right. I would say 95, 96% of the time it does get things right as far as rules and the rule book. But we'll just mention that I don't think Kobold is a language in Shadowdark. and it'll say, oh shit, I fucked up. You know, at the same time, it's like, I wouldn't be shocked if a Shadowdark DM was just like, yeah, they're speaking Kobold. You know, and it's like, no one speaks Kobold. But at the same time, it's like, it doesn't list Kobold as a language in the book. Okay, so Kobolds aren't listed as speaker of any of them. Rules are silent on what they speak. That's true. Ruling in OSR spirit. These kobolds jabber in a broken, heavily accented common, the kind of pidgin you'd expect from creatures used to dealing with humanoids. Their lizard folk overlords speak reptilian, but these two aren't speaking that. Okay, so it's a broken common. The one at the cauldron, stirring irritably, says, too much salt, stupid skreek. Boss come back, taste, make skreek sweep floor again. The one at the spit, placating with a nasal whine, not stupid skreek, you stupid. Rabbit still raw on bone. Boss want rabbit, not rabbit blood soup. A pause, then the cauldron kobold mutters something that sounds like, Caleth say dig more, dig, fingers bleed, for what? Dead man stone, no sword in stone, wall only. The one with the spit snorts, then hushes. They go quiet, chewing whatever argument they were having and get back to cooking. Caleth say dig more, dig, fingers bleed, for what? Dead man stone, no sword in stone, wall only. Okay, so they have a boss. I assume Caleth. They're digging in this tomb, in this dungeon, whatever it was, a tomb, right? Sir Galen's tomb. Dead man stone, no sword in stone, wall only. So the boss wants them digging into the tomb to find something. No sword in stone. Maybe he's looking for a sword. All right. Well, you know, when you have the sleep spell, everything looks sleepable. So I think we're gonna have our wizard, who is who the fuck is our wizard? Virilia. Yeah, we're gonna have Virilia. Who's going to creep forward within sleep range and cast sleep. Now, you can probably have it set up where Claude, and actually the first dungeon I ran, Claude did do all of its own rolling for NPCs and stuff. And then the second one, it just suddenly switched, and it was just like, okay, you do all the rolls. And I don't mind, because when I do the rolls, I know that I rolled with Foundry. I know it's pretty reliably random. When Claude rolls, it's like, I don't know. I mean, it could be making up the numbers. So I actually don't mind me doing all the rolling for both sides. Virilia peels off from the group. The brush is thick enough along the clearing's edge to move in a crouch without rustling. She picks her line carefully, staying low where the brambles are waist high, pausing when the cauldron kobold's head turns. The fire's crackle covers her. No roll. The conditions are all in her favor, and the kobolds never glance up. She settles behind the bole of a fat oak, maybe 20 paces from the fire. Both kobolds are inside the cube, close enough. She draws the sigils in the air with one finger, whispers the words. Roll a spellcasting check, DC 20 plus int with advantage, because she has advantage on sleep. Yes, okay, awesome. So she's going to cast sleep with advantage. And she got a 17. 17, baby. Clean cast. The word leaves her lips like a thread of smoke, and both kobolds sag where they are. The one at the spit keels forward. You hear a muffled thump as his nose meets the grass. The cauldron kobold lists sideways, catches himself in the lip of the pot, snores once, and slides off it, landing in a little scaled heap beside the fire. His stirring sword clatters into the dirt. The rabbit keeps turning. The stew keeps bubbling. Nobody else in earshot, as far as you can tell. Two sleeping kobolds, an open clearing, an ivy-choked archway northeast leading down into the hillside, and a pot of stew that smells, against all reason, pretty good. Okay. Well, Sticky John is going to quickly rifle through their pockets, of course. That's what Sticky John does. And then Yuri will sample the stew. And And we'll have Kerwin begin. Kerwin will begin tying up the kobolds. Okay, yeah, I mean, sleep spell. It's hard to beat. It's hard to beat at low levels. Doesn't fail too much, especially with advantage. Sticky John kneels beside the sleeping pair and does his work with the practiced gentleness of a man who has done this before. Their pockets are scraps of pouch and twine, what he comes up with laid out on a flat stone. A greasy little bone flute, 1 copper maybe, to the right buyer. I love that. Who the fuck is the right... the right buyer. God damn it. 4 copper and a bent iron nail. Folded scrap of birch bark with a crude scratched map. 3 squares, a wiggle, an X. Probably a kobold's idea of the tomb. A wooden bead strung on a sinew cord carved vaguely like a rabbit. And a whetstone, well used. That's the haul. No weapons worth taking. 1 rusted short sword, the stirring spoon, and 2 sharpened sticks they were calling spears. Yeah, this would have been an easy fight no matter what. Yuri takes the ladle off the cauldron hook. The stew is rabbit bones, wild onions, something bitter but not unpleasant, scatter of dark berries. Hot, fatty, properly salted despite Skreek's complaints. He'd eat a bowl of this in a tavern and not complain. No ill effects he can feel. Kerwin fishes the coil of rope from his crawling kit and hog-ties the little monsters one at a time. They mutter in their sleep but don't stir. Wrists to ankles, tidy knots. A kerchief gag each for good measure. You're clear for the moment. The archway yawns in the hillside a dozen paces on, ivy trailing across the threshold, the dark beyond it cold and still. Cold enough you can feel the breath of it from here. We could wait for these guys to wake and then interrogate them, which is really the most prudent thing. But we also know, well, it's more likely that they were meant to go back into the tomb to deliver the food rather than the boss coming out. But we're going to do a couple of things to check here. Sticky John is going to examine the path leading up to the vines to determine how many sets of footprints are there. He'll then crouch by the entryway to the tomb, listening for any approaching steps, while the rest wait for the kobolds to come to for interrogation. If there's just the 2 sets of footprints, then we know that these guys came out here to cook. They'll go back in. If there's multiple sets of, like, fresher footprints, then there's going to be more traffic coming in and out, and we'll want to, Oh, yeah, I guess we could just rouse him awake. Just hold on a second. Okay. Meanwhile, Sticky John drifts to the ivy-hung archway and sinks onto his haunches just inside the lip of the shadow, one ear cocked into the dark. The breath of the tomb is cold and smells of wet stone and rot sweet vegetation. He listens a long moment. From below, silence. Not true silence. The slow drip of water somewhere, the faint creak of old roots shifting in the earth. No footfalls, no voices. Nothing coming up to meet you. Kerwin and Varelia settle in by the fire. Yuri keeps an eye on the trail south. The rabbit keeps turning on its spit. Alright, so we're gonna get a roll. And before it was actually telling me the DCs for all the checks. And I don't like that. I don't want that. I have heard some people recommend doing that with a game like Shadowdark, is just telling players the DC and being very opaque about it. But for me personally, I'd rather not know. Right, so we're gonna get a... You got a 15. 15. Yeah. Who's our most charismatic? Yeah, it's definitely Varelia. Or Yuri. I guess they're both really charismatic. But we'll use Varelia. What? Just do one kobold. Stinky John goes slow along the beaten dirt between the cook fire and the archway, crouching, fingers hovering over prints. Kobold, lots of it. Small three-toed, claw-tipped, clearly the two here, plus at least 2 or 3 more coming and going over days. A well-worn little path. A larger reptilian print, same shape as a kobold, but deeper, heavier, and longer toe. Crosses the threshold a few times. Lizard folk, at least 1, maybe 2 in and out. A set of booted human prints leading in, recent, within a day or 2. Heavier than the kobolds with a shorter stride than the lizard folk. 1 person, armed, feeling gait. He hasn't come out. Oh, like he has like a weapon on his side or something. Like it's one side is slightly heavier or something. Old scuffs under everything, but nothing tells him a story. No drag marks here. Whatever's being hauled in and out, this isn't the route. Varelia kneels by the cauldron sleeper, the irritable one, and gives him a firm shake. He snorts, jerks, eyes peeling open wide and yellow and unfocused. A second stillness as his brain catches up to the rope, the gag, the strange tall humans ringed around him. Then a high, thin whine behind the cloth and a frantic, useless scrabble of bound limbs. Up close, he's maybe 3 feet of scaled malnutrition. Dusky green, patchy with a notched crest and 1 milky eye. A leather thong around his neck with a single wooden beard. Same rabbit carbon as the one Sticky John pulled from his pouch. He stops thrashing when he realizes it's pointless. His good eye darts between the 4 of you, settles on Varelia because she's the one crouched close, and his breathing goes quick and shallow. He's awake, he's terrified. What's Varelia's approach? Gag stays on or comes off, tone, what she leads with. Okay. Varelia is going to play the good cop. She'll loosen the gag and offer up some of the rabbit. Then Yuri is going to play the bad cop, thumbing his fingers over his hand axe and maybe sharpening it with the whetstone that they found. That's good. That's good. Glaring ominously. Perfect. Varelia will ask him gently what his name is and what he's doing here. Okay. Sticky John stays at his post by the tomb. So they have a lot of traffic, which means they're going to be coming and going. It might be prudent then to thin numbers by setting up a camp kind of behind the tomb a little bit. Varelia's voice goes soft, almost musical. She eases the gag down to his chin, tears a strip off the rabbit, still hot, crackling with fat, and holds it where he can see it but not quite reach. Behind her, Yuri draws his hand axe across the kobold's own whetstone with a slow, deliberate shing. He doesn't speak. He doesn't need to. His face does the work. The kobold's nostrils flare at the rabbit smell. His good eye flicks to Yuri, to the axe, back to the meat, back to Yuri, a high little sound in his throat. When Varelia asks his name, he answers so fast he almost trips on it. No roll needed. The setup has done the work. Hell yeah. See, that's a nice DM. Gribsnick. Gribsnick, missus. Please, Skreek stupid, not Gribsnick. Gribsnick, good kobold, yes? She holds the rabbit a little closer. He snaps at it like a dog. She lets him have a bite, and he chews with his mouth open, eye never leaving hers. What doing? Cooking, that all. Boss. A glance at Yuri, and he amends himself. Boss, come, want food. Caleth, want food. Gribsnick, cook. Skreek, burn rabbit. Stupid Skreek. The name Caleth, he says low, the way a man says a word he doesn't want the walls to hear. He's talking. He'll talk more. What does Varelia ask next? What are the... what does Caleth want with this tomb? That's what we want to ask. So, I mean, the writing is, it's not incredible. But honestly, I think it's a lot better than it was like a couple of years ago with ChatGPT and stuff like that. Like it's serviceable. It's got some of that AI kind of, tropiness to it, but not too bad. I haven't really complained that much about it internally, I guess. Um, and it's certainly like a lot more. I think in some ways it's better than I would do. It's a lot more descriptive, and there's like dialogue to it, and little personality, and things like that. He chews, swallows, eye rolling. This is a question he has answers to. Kobolds gossip, and Gribsnake clearly loves the sound of his own hissing voice when he's not being hit. Sword, he says, with the reverence of someone saying gold. Big sword, dead knight's sword. Caleth want, bad want. Say sword burn like dragon. His good eye goes a little dreamy. Kobolds here first, long time. Nice tomb. Dagras Prince. Dagras Good Prince. Gribsnick like Dagras. Another glance at Yuri, corrects himself. Dagras King. Very good king. Then lizards come. Caleth. Warriors. Big scary. Say dig. Dig for sword. Dagras say no. Dagras in cage now. He mimes a cage around himself with bound wrists, mournful. Dig, dig, dig. Wall only. No sword. Stupid wall. Skreek's brother smash finger. Cry all night. Caleth say keep dig. We dig. He shrugs, fatalistic. Maybe sword there, maybe not. Caleth no. Gribsnick not no. He eyes the rabbit hopefully. Okay, we have factions here, my friends. Factions! This means that the kobolds, maybe not all of them, are very loyal to this Caleth guy. She asks if if most of the kobolds also dislike Caleth and would rather have Dagras. It's like playing Cataclysm. If you can turn your enemies against your other enemies, that's a win. That's a straight up win. He tears a fresh strip of rabbit with his teeth, chews, and thinks. A kobold thinking is a funny thing. His head cants sideways, his tongue flicks, his one good eye unfocuses. When he answers, he drops his voice to a whisper, as if Caleth might be listening through the dirt. Kobolds, he licks greasy lips, not love lizards. No, lizards hit. Lizards eat best meat, give bone. Call kobold little lizard, very rude. Kobold, not lizard. Kobold. Flash of wounded pride, quickly swallowed. See, I think honestly it's kind of better than I would actually act out at the table if I was running this. So I gotta hand it to him. The only thing that I might want to adjust here for this presentation specifically is this is a very small text box for no good reason. Oh, okay. Boom. There you go. How's that? There you go. Much better. Dagras good. Dagras funny. Dagras give meat. Dagras say, Gribsnick, you 10 fire. You good cook. And here he darts to look sideways because Skreek is still snoring in the grass. Dagras never say, stupid Skreek, stupid Gribsnick. Dagras prince. Real prince. He works his bound wrists back and forth, not trying to escape, just, it seems, thinking with his body. If Dagras free, many kobolds come. Not all. Some run. Some fight lizards. Some already dead in tomb. Caleth angry. Kill when miss pickaxe. But enough. Maybe enough. His good eye fixes on Varelia. Very earnest for a creature currently hogtied beside his own breakfast. You free Dagras? Gribsnick help. Gribsnick swear. Rabbit oath. He holds up the grease-smeared scrap of rabbit like it's a holy symbol. I mean, I can already tell you, this kobold, this Gribsnick, he would become a recurring character in my family's campaign. Just based off this already. They already, latched onto a goblin that I had named Ray. And I didn't play him nearly as well as Gribsnick here. So, yeah. I got a soft spot for Gribsnick. So, hell yeah. Let's ask about Skreek. Gripsnick twists his head to look at his snoring partner, and his expression sours like curdled milk. Skreek? He makes a little spitting sound. Skreek is Skreek. Not bad, kobold. Not smart, kobold. Skreek do what Skreek told. Kaleth told Skreek dig. You tell Skreek fight. Maybe. If Skreek more scared of you than Kaleth. He considers, licking a tooth. Skreek follow Gripsnick, mostly. Gripsnick older. Gripsnick boss of Skreek, yes? So if Gripsnick say fight lizards for daggers, Skreek fight. Probably. Skreek cry, but Skreek fight. A pause, then with a kind of bleak kobold honesty. Skreek also maybe run. Big chance, run. Kobold run good. He shrugs, apologetic. But Gripsnick tie Skreek down. Skreek fight. Yes. Rabbit oath for Skreek too. He glances at Yuri, whose whetstone has gone quiet on the axe blade, and adds hastily, not run from Big Axe, mister. Gripsnick stay. Gripsnick promise. Varelia is going to confer with Kerwin and Yuri. Yuri doesn't trust kobolds whatsoever. But the other two think that it's their best bet at a strong advantage going in. Yuri ultimately relents, but he'll keep the kobolds in front of him at all times. Varelia returns to Gripsnick. And says that they're interested in taking down Kaleth. And they'll help free Dagris. They'll need to trust each other, though. Yes. Gripsnick's good eye goes very wide and very wet. For a moment, you think he might cry. Instead, he does a small, bound, full-body wriggle that is apparently the kobold version of a bow. Yes. Trust. Rabbit oath. Gripsnick not lie to rabbit friends. He looks from face to face, working something out behind his notched crest, and then drops into the most useful speech he's given yet. Low, fast, pigeon common, punctuated with jabs of his chin toward the archway because his hands are still tied. Listen. Inside, 2 doors. Left door, bad. Ivy vines, grabby. Hate kobold. Hate everybody. Long dead man in there, all wrapped up. We not go left. Right door, go to king room. Big stone king. Mace. Mean face. Lizard warrior sleep there by keg. Always drink. Always sleep. Lazy lizard. Easy if quiet. Past king, long room. Big ceilings. 3 stone knights standing. Dagger's cage there. 2-3 lizards usually. Kobolds pushing cart. Digging tools. That the big place. Past big place, checker floor. Black, white. Don't step black. Gripsnick see kobold. Fall. Break leg. Small kobold not fall, but big human. Fall. Remember, white only. Then dig room. Kaleth there. 2 lizard. 2-3 kobold with picks. Kaleth scary. Shake hands. Make wind. Make thunder. Bad magic. Pauses for breath. Also, hole in wall other side. Outside hole. Thieves made boom. 1 kobold sweep there always. Broom kobold. Scared of broom. Whole life sweeping. Broom kobold friend of Gripsnick. Not fight. Run. He stops. Looks at the rope around his wrists. Looks hopefully at Varelia. Untie? Gripsnick no run. And his gaze slides to his snoring cookmate. Gripsnick wake Skreek gentle. Tell Skreek the new way. Skreek listen. Maybe cry. Then help. Practical worries. The stew is for Kaleth. Someone is going to come up for food if it isn't delivered. And outside the clearing, the afternoon is getting on. Nobody's lit a torch yet, but you're about to step into a hole in the ground. Alright. Yeah, that sort of thing. I have curbed some of that. Like, it was kind of giving away a bit too much earlier, so I try to curb that. But it still kind of chimes in with stuff that I don't think a DM would actually really say. But I don't know. I mean, there probably are some DMs that would mention stuff like that. I'm just accustomed to being a very hands-off DM. All right, this was a flood of information. We know now that there's 2 doors when we go in. The left door's bad with vines. We don't want to go near it. There's a dead guy in there. There's probably treasure, but We can handle the vines at the end once we've cleared everything else. Right door goes to a king room with a big stone king, a big statue, and there's a lizard warrior sleeping there by the keg. Always drink, always sleep. Lazy lizard, easy if quiet. I'd say it's a pretty potentially easy backstab for us, but we'll see. Dagger's caged in the next room. 2-3 lizards usually. Kobolds pushing cart, digging tools. That's the big place. Past the big place, there's a checker floor. We have to step on the white only. Done. Problem solved. Then the dig room. Caleth there. 2 lizards. 2-3 kobolds with picks. Caleth scary. Shake hands, make wind, make thunder, bad magic. So Caleth is a wizard. That is dangerous. Also, there's a hole in the wall at the other side. Outside hole, thieves made boom. 1 kobold sweep there always. Broom kobold, scared of broom. Whole life sweeping. Broom kobold, friend of Gripsnick. Not fight, run. Okay, hole in wall, other side. Okay. She'll untie him and let him untie Skreek. What's the best game plan? Yeah, I mean, they're gonna come out. Someone is gonna come out. If it's a kobold, we might be able to convince him to work with us. Lizardman needs to get stabbed. Is there... I didn't quite get the layout of the actual tomb itself. I mean, it might be listed there if we scroll back up. It's set into a low hillside. A humble stone archway slouches under a heavy beard of ivy and lichen. Okay, so we're gonna tell the 2 to sit here and keep pretending to cook until someone comes out. Sticky John is going to wait above the archway with his bow ready. The others are going to wait around the hillside out of sight. Yeah, I think that's the best bet. Theoretically, Sticky John will get his backstab with the short bow. If that doesn't kill him, we can just have Kerwin pop out a magic missile or something. If that doesn't kill him, then we're kind of fucked, but it is what it is. Aurelia unties Gripsnick's wrists. He rubs them, flexes his scaled fingers, and, true to his word, doesn't bolt. Instead, he pads over to Skreek, crouches, and wakes him with a soft scale rasp and a whispered torrent of fast kobold pigeon. Skreek snaps awake, starts thrashing, is hushed. His eyes go round, they get rounder. He looks at the humans, at the rope, at Gripsnick, at the humans again, and his lower lip begins to tremble. He nods. He nods a lot. A small kobold-sized tear slides down one cheek. He nods more. Gripsnick pats his shoulder, impatient. God, I've only had Gripsnick and Skreek for 5 minutes, but if anything happens to them, I'll kill everybody in here. Within a minute, they are both back at the fire as if nothing happened. Skreek turning the spit with exaggerated care. Gripsnick stirring, muttering the same sour complaints about the salt. Only the occasional too-wide glance toward the archway gives them away. We'll have to hope whoever comes up doesn't notice. Alright, positions. Sticky John scrambles up the low hillside that roofs the tomb, settles belly down in the long grass above the archway, arrow nocked, angles straight down onto the threshold. Yuri crouches behind the hillside's shoulder, west of the archway, hand axe low, shield on arm. He'll be on anyone who comes out in 2 strides. Aurelia tucks in behind a pair of oaks east of the arch, staff in hand, clear line of sight to the threshold. Kerwin settles in the brush beside Aurelia, holy symbol in hand, dagger loose. Clearing goes quiet except for the fire's crackle, Gripsnick stirring, and from the archway the faint cold breath of the tomb. You wait. Not long, maybe 3-4 minutes. Damn, that's good timing right there, huh? Then yeah, I mean that's a game, I suppose. Then a sound from below, the slow scuff of sandaled feet coming up stone stairs. A low reptilian grumble in a language you don't know. Reptilian. One of the common tongues, but none of you has it. Now, I don't know if it actually is reading my languages, so let me double check. Okay. I didn't pick languages, and true, none of us have reptilian. Amazing. Okay. Jesus. Okay. The tone is irritable, hungry. A shape emerges into the archway's light. Taller than a man, hunch-shouldered, long-tailed, green-black scales glistening. Lizard folk warrior. Leather kilt, bone-studded harness, a crude spear in one clawed hand and a wooden bowl in the other. He's squinting against the afternoon sun, one thick, slit-pupiled eye scrunching shut. He barks something at the kobolds. Hash Kreshi or the like, shaking the empty bowl. Gribsnick cringes appropriately. Skreek, to his credit, keeps turning the spit. The lizard folk steps out of the archway and onto the dirt, fully in the open now, and sniffs at the cauldron. He has no idea any of you are here. Surprise is yours. Sticky John has a clean shot from above. Yuri is 2 strides from a flank. Aurelia has a clean lane. Alright, in a surprise round, the target doesn't act. He just eats what you give him. Ha ha! Yes, this is all going to happen. So I could say what I'm going to do, and then it could tell me what to roll, but we can skip a step and maybe save 1/20th of a tree or something. So Sticky John is going to be shooting his short bow. Let me equip that. And he gets advantage with backstab, baby. Okay, it's not great, but it is what it is. It's a hit. Almost certainly a hit. And then we're gonna have Aurelia magic missile with advantage. Success. 2 damage. Okay, so a total of 6. Not amazing, but we'll take what we can get. And then Yuri is... we could actually have him throw his hand axe. Yeah, he would also get advantage, but then he wouldn't have a melee weapon. But if we can end him, and that advantage is pretty advantageous. I really should have bought a second hand axe, but I couldn't. I could have bought... Oh, I could! Oh, fuck. All right, retcon. Dude, a dwarf never goes anywhere without 2 hand axes. Okay. There you go. Yeah, he's going to throw his hand axe with advantage. Okay. Well, a big chunk of damage if it works. I can't imagine it's higher than 14 AC, though. That seems pretty high. He's got a bone-studded harness and no shield. All right. So Sticky John fires an arrow with advantage and backstab. Equals 16 total for damage. Varelia fires off magic missile. 19 roll, 2 damage. Yuri flings a hand axe with advantage. 14 total, 6 damage. Yeah. And then Kerwin can't really do jack shit. So that's it. Oh, I guess he could throw a dagger. He won't throw a dagger. If this isn't enough, then we have problems. But fucking alpha strike here. 3 strikes land in the space of a breath. Sticky John's arrow takes him in the side of the neck, just above the harness strap. 16 beats 14. So he had 14 AC. The shaft punches through scales and wedges deep, a spray of dark blood, almost black. Borelia's missile streaks out from between the oaks on a thread of silver light, and punches into his chest with a sound like a melon thumping wood. Yuri's hand axe spins end over end from the west and buries itself in the meat of his thigh with a wet chunk. 14 beats 14. Just. The lizard folk doesn't even finish his bellow. The spear drops from his claws, the bowl clatters in the dirt, his legs fold under him, and he pitches forward across the cook fire. Embers scatter. Skreek shrieks and scrambles clear on all fours. Gribsnake just steps back with the stoic pragmatism of someone whose whole life has been other creatures being violent near him, and watches the body twitch twice and go still. Smoke curls off the scaled back where it's pressed into the coals. The smell is immediate and bad. Lizard folk warrior, dead. Clean kill, 1 round, no return fire. Gripsnake looks up at the archway, down at the corpse, up at you, in a small, impressed voice. Oh, good rabbit friends. The tomb is quiet below. If anyone heard, they haven't reacted yet, but a dead lizard folk on a cook fire is not something you can leave lying for long. Okay, the next step would require some bravery on our friend's part. I'm thinking, you know, they have food. If we could get some poisonous berries or something like that. Not to me, you know, they're not going to kill the lizard folk down there or anything like that, but maybe throw them off, daze them or something, get them nauseous, like if we can catch them mid-puke or something like that, that's pretty good. But it does require our friends to kind of head down there, not betray us, and not chicken out, giving the lizard folk some poison food. So who would be the best bet for finding something like that? I didn't really look. Okay, soldier, jeweler, forager, Sticky John. Any poisonous berries or plants in the area? Meanwhile, we'll have the lizard man's body into the brush, looting it. Okay. But this is how you have to play these kind of games, you know? It's fucking like guerrilla warfare. You have to take every possible advantage. A fair fight is a fight you've already lost. Alright, so, So Sticky John's gonna make an int check. He's been in woods like these before. If he's lived off what he found, his eye knows a few things the rest of you don't. Yuri grabs the dead lizard folk by the ankles and hauls. The corpse leaves a dark smear across the cook's fire's ash and another across the dirt. He drags it around the side of the hillside, behind a screen of brambles where you'd have to be looking to find it. Gribsnake trots alongside helpfully, kicking loose grass over the blood trail. So the crude spear. Yeah, the harness. A small clay flask. Reeks of raw ale, strong and sour, about a mouthful or two left. There's a leather thong around the neck, strung with 3 polished river stones and a single yellow tooth. 7 silver, 3 copper in the pouch of coins, and a small iron key. Looks like it fit a padlock or a manacle. He tucks the key into his own pouch, keeps the harness for later inspection, leaves the charm on the body. Yuri doesn't like the look of it. Yeah, I don't like that. That's the other thing. I have to correct that of like speaking or acting as a character. Like that's really my job. I mean, I definitely would have taken the key, but I wouldn't have taken the harness, I don't think. All right, let's get Sticky John's int roll. 17. Very nice. Now, you could argue that that's another thing of like kind of just like DM subjectivity, right? Because it's not really that specific in the rules, I don't think. But like, does the fact that Sticky John is a forager give him a benefit for this role, or does it just enable the role? Like, if he wasn't a forager, would he just be like, yeah, you don't know what's poisonous or not, you have no idea. But since he is a forager, he has a good chance of knowing. Or is it anyone might know, anyone could make the intelligence check, but being a forager either lowers the DC or gives you advantage? Usually, I think in a lot of cases in Shadowdark, it leans towards the advantage rule, but I'm not entirely opposed to the alternative. So I can't really necessarily correct it, because I'm sure there are DMs out there that would say, yeah, you don't know. You don't know any. Oh, you're a forager? Okay, you can roll. He rolled a 17 total. Yuri will not take the harness, but he will take the money and drink the ale. All right, so we got 7 silver, 3 copper that he's going to pocket. Solid botany. His eyes go to work. In the oak edge and the damp of the clearing, he spots 3 things worth knowing, all within a few minutes gathering. Pale-capped mushrooms at the base of the oaks. Fat-stemmed, ghost-white gills. He knows them. Slow liver rot. Tasteless in a hot broth. Victims feel fine for hours, then get sick, then get much worse. Not useful mid-fight, but devastating if fed to someone who has to last the day. Hemlock root, growing with the weeds in the kobold's vegetable rows. Fern-like fronds, pale root, carroty smell, fast and violent. A thumb's worth in a bowl would drop a man in the time it takes to finish eating. Convulsions, paralysis, no clean recovery. Would be noticeable in taste. Bitter, vegetal, strong broth might cover it. Bloodwort berries on a low shrub by the trail. Waxy black, stained red when crushed. Not fatal, but numbing. A palmful brewed into something turns the limbs heavy, clouds the mind. Useful for making someone sleep who wouldn't otherwise. Half an hour to take effect. He can harvest any of them, maybe 15 minutes for enough to dose the cauldron or a couple of weapon doses. He knows his own hands won't be fooled. He can handle them safely. I lean towards the hemlock root then. Fast and violent. Drop a man at a time it takes to finish eating. Yeah, that's good. The bloodwort berries, I think, is just a bit too risky of someone catching on and being able to act or alert others. And then the mushrooms, just not really necessary for what we have in mind. This needs to be done today. Yuri pockets the silver and copper, uncorks the flask, and tilts it back. Lizard folk ale is bracing, thick and sour and weirdly peppery, like someone fermented it with dried frogs. It goes down hot. He coughs once, wipes his mustache, and grunts approvingly. No obvious effect beyond a warm belly and the sudden certainty that the next round is on whoever's paying. Yeah, that's usually how that works. The dead lizard folk is out of sight. The fire still burning. Gripsnick and Skreek are back at their posts. Clearing is yours again for the moment. All right, Sticky John. To help cover up the taste. He'll then dump it into the cauldron. Tell to the 3 lizard folk in the big place. They'll ambush them as they yeah, I think that's our best bet. And just think how different this whole module would have gone had we just, blasted the kobolds. They're just like, yeah, okay, we charge in. And Yuri charges in with his hand axe and slashes them. And it's like, okay, they're dead. Okay, then we go in. You would do the whole dungeon properly, I suppose, as properly in quotation marks there. But just look at how useful that was to just fucking talk to a creature. Sticky John works fast. He pulls half a dozen hemlock roots, pale, ferny tops, smelling falsely sweet, washes them in the spout water from his skin, chops them fine on a flat stone with his dagger. A fistful of bloodwort berries crushed to dark pulp to muddy the bitterness. A wild onion or two from the kobold's sad little rows, torn in by the handful to push the flavor towards savory. He tips it all into the cauldron, stirs deep, lets it simmer. The smell changes very little. He washes his hands twice in the spout. Gripsnick watches the whole operation with the solemn attention of someone being taught a trade. Oh, he says softly. Kobold poison is no good. Kobold poison make lizards sick fart, not dead. This better. Sick fart. God damn. Fucking Claude, man. Got some sense of humor. Sticky John briefs them both. Skreek cries a little. Gripsnick cuffs him and tells him to stop. Then Gripsnick repeats the plan back in kobold pidgin to confirm he has it. Take pot to big place. Give lizard boss. Say Caleth, say eat first. Chief, you eat first, show respect. Because this lizard boss, he think he very important. He eat lots. Maybe send pot to Caleth after, maybe not. Kobolds not eat. Gribsnick say rabbit come after. Chief, rabbit come. Then Gribsnick and Skreek leave. Hurry, hurry. You rabbit friends come down, finish lizard boss when belly turn bad. He looks at Varelia, earnest. Yes? Gribsnick good? That's the plan in his mouth, and it's a good one. Whether he sells it is the question. Roll a charisma check for Gribsnick. You can roll it on his behalf. The kobold's success or failure is getting that first lizard folk to eat deep before any of his wits catch up rides on Gribsnick's performance. No dice for Skreek. He's staying at Gribsnick's elbow looking appropriately guilty, which is his normal face. While you roll, the two of them hoist the cauldron between a stout pole and start shuffling toward the archway. The afternoon is sliding toward late. Nobody has lit a torch yet. Alright. So I have to roll a charisma check for Gribsnick. It's just going to be sort of a straight D20. It's kind of a big roll, isn't it? Fucking hell! Okay. We got no luck tokens, because I don't think anyone rolled a crit fail, so... That's where everything's going to go bad. Hey, you know, the best laid plans and all that. No plan survives contact with the enemy. The entire party is going to follow at a distance of around 30 feet or so. Weapons ready. They will pause at the entryway to the big place. Gribsnick, unfortunately, rolled a 2. God, they're gonna butcher him where he stands. God, Gribsnick! And it's one of those things, like, normally the DM would roll that. Like, the players would not have any awareness until it's too late. So... I can't change it. Damn it, Gribsnick. Now that lizard folk died, taking... It was 12 damage I dealt total. So he probably has 9, 10 health. I can't imagine he's higher than level 2. I think he's probably level 2. Maybe 1, but probably 2. So sleep is... potentially viable here in a big way. So as soon as we hear that it's going bad and they're not buying it, we're just gonna rush in and sleep, even if it puts Gribsnick and Skreek to sleep. Yeah, now this was a module, I think there's a module written for Shadowdark, so they should have light. It's asking me who's you know, where our light source is coming from. But yeah, I probably should have mentioned something about, like, I imagine that they have lights. Descent. This is a lot of text. Holy shit. Okay, we got a fucking novel here it wrote. This has got to describe, like, each room as we go through it. Down the stone stairs, 20 paces behind the huffing cauldron-lugging kobolds. Cold air rises. The walls are old, cut stone, root-veined. Area B, the entry. Small crumbling chamber. 2 heavy wooden doors stand closed on the north wall, both bound in black steel. Ivy has crawled in from the stairs and is creeping visibly toward the left-hand door. Fat green tendrils lapping at the threshold like something half alive. Between the 2 doors, a slow drip of water falls from a spout into a small stone vessel. Above the vessel, chiseled letters. With this water, the worthy are blessed. In a corner, a splintered crate with rags, a clay jar of lantern oil, and 2 dusty bottles. Gribsnick throws a thumb at the right door and pushes through. The party follows. The right door opens into a dim passage, narrower, drier, bypassing the worst of the choked ivy corridor to the left. Gribsnick pads along it with the familiarity of someone who's carried a lot of pots this way. Area C, the King's Chamber. You step through and the ceiling opens up. A great chamber, floor split into 2 levels by 3 broad stone steps. 2 raised daises, 2 statues. The large statue is a 12-foot stone king in battle harness, crown, mace in hand, helmet tucked under the other arm. The base reads, King Milgram the Just. A small statue kneels on a dais nearby, a knight praying, holding a holy symbol aloft. At the base of the large statue, the scene the dead lizard folk left behind. A toppled wooden mug, a dark stain of spilled ale, a half-full keg tipped on its side. No one is here. Alright. So there's a wide... Okay. See, again, it's noting a couple things. I'll note for later, the wall behind the large statue is a small brass plate set into it with a square hole. You don't know what that is yet. Moving on. Yeah, don't mention that shit. I mean, maybe we can actually kind of notice that. Maybe. It is, I don't know, hard to say. It's possible we glanced it. The threshold off the Grand Hall. Oh, the threshold of F, the Grand Hall. The party pauses here as instructed, tucked behind the edge of the archway. Kerwin shields the light dagger against his chest to kill its glow. From here, you can see the room in silhouette and torchlight. So, yeah, there's torchlight. It is massive, 20 feet of ceiling at least. 3 great knight statues loom along the north wall. 2 still standing, armored stone knights, one toppled across the floor. In the far corner, a crude iron cage about 10 feet square, something small and scaly hunched inside it. Daggerous, you assume. A couple of kobolds are off near the cage, pushing a wheelbarrow with pickaxes rattling in it. Torches burn in iron sconces. And standing square in the middle of the room, arms folded, tail lashing, one lizard folk warrior. Spear across his back, bone armor harness, a long scar down his jaw. Bigger than the one you killed. Meaner looking. The supervisor. Yeah, it could be level 3 then. Gribsnick and Skreek heave the cauldron into the room. The supervisor turns. He barks something in reptilian. Gribsnick answers in broken common, loud enough it carries to you. Caleth say, "You eat first, chief. Show respect." And that's where it goes wrong. Gribsnick's voice goes too high on respect. His good eye twitches. He tries a smile. It is not a kobold's best face. Skreek beside him is visibly crying. The supervisor narrows his eyes. He's dumb, but not that dumb. One clawed hand comes down on the back of Gribsnick's neck and lifts him bodily off the floor. The other plucks the ladle from the cauldron, fills it, and holds it under Gribsnick's snout. "Hesh Kra," he says slow and ugly, and then switching to Pigeon Common so Gribsnick is sure to understand. "Little lizard eat first." Gribsnick's legs dangle. His good eye goes wide. He looks past the supervisor's shoulder towards the archway where you are crouched, one frantic, pleading glance. The other 2 kobolds by the wheelbarrow have stopped moving. The supervisor's back is turned to your archway. He has no idea you're here. Surprise is still yours if you take it now. Okay. You said there's torchlight, and these creatures wouldn't be dark adapted, so they would need light. I didn't light anything. Okay. Yeah, Alpha Strike, here we go. Same routine as before. Sticky John shooting his bow. Let's do it, baby. Backstab advantage. Amazing. 16 for 8 damage. Varelia. Magic missile. Oh, this feels good. This feels real good. Success. 1 damage, yeah. Yuri throwing a hand axe. I didn't technically say he picked back up, but let's be real. 19 for 5 damage. Kerwin does nothing. Yeah, I mean, what is he gonna do? What is he gonna do? Yeah, I mean, if this doesn't drop him, that's 14 damage. If he's level 3, I guess maybe he could have like 16 health, but it was a very nice Alpha Strike, I think. You're right, you never lit anything. Good. The party's pooled in the dark archway and the Grand Hall's torchlight spills out, not in. You see him perfectly. He has no idea you exist. Sticky John's arrow hisses out of the dark at shoulder height and buries itself between the supervisor's shoulder blades up to the fletching. 8 damage. The lizard folk stiffens. Gribsnick, still dangling, feels the grip around his neck go strange. Relia's missile arcs a silver thread over Gribsnick's head and punches into the base of the supervisor's skull just under the bone armor collar. 1 damage, but it sears. Yuri's hand axe spins end over end from the dark and takes the supervisor in the small of the back, opening him along the spine. The lizard's folk tail thrashes once and goes limp. His claws open. Gribsnick drops to the flagstones with a squeak, rolls clear, and the supervisor topples forward like a felled oak, straight into the cauldron. Goes over with a clang, hemlock stew sluicing across the stone in a steaming wave. The ladle clatters. Silence. Then noise. The 2 kobolds at the wheelbarrow drop a pickaxe and start screaming. Thin, high, almost bird-like panic. One grabs the other and they press themselves against the iron cage, hands up. From inside the cage, a sharper voice snaps at them in kobold. There is no kobold, but okay. Ka sick, shut up, shut up! A small, scaly figure is pressed to the bars. Dagras, eyes quick and bright, taking in the archway, the corpse, the party, all at once. Prince Kobold Brain, working fast. Gribsnick scrambles to his feet, gasping, and shouts at the wheelbarrow kobolds in rapid pigeon common, so you catch it too. Stop, stop! Not lizards! Rabbit friends! Rabbit friends! We fight now! Dagras free! The wheelbarrow kobold screaming chokes off in a confused whimpering. Skreek, for his part, has sat down hard on the floor and is crying openly. I picture him like fucking Randy from A Christmas Story or something, just constantly sobbing and pathetic. But he's there. He's there. The Grand Hall is for this moment yours. No other enemies in sight, but there is noise. That clang of the overturned cauldron. The kobold screams, not quiet. And the passage north of here leads toward the digging chamber where Caleth is, with at least 2 more lizard folk warriors and a pair of kobolds with picks. Daggers through the bars, low and fast, in accented common. You free me, I help. Quick, before the shaman comes. Key on that one, or on digging boss. Look quick. Alright. Alright, Valeria is going to attempt to calm the kobolds. Yuri is going to try the key he pocketed. Sticky John will watch the passageway north from the shadows. And Kerwin will check the supervisor's body for items or loot, whatever. Everybody's doing something, baby. This is why we have a full party. Relia steps out of the dark archway into the torchlight, staff lowered, palms up. Soft voice. Gribsnick scrambles to her heel and does the talking in kobold, waving his thin arms, pointing at the supervisor's corpse, pointing at Dagras in the cage, pointing at the party. The 2 wheelbarrow kobolds stare. One of them slowly lowers his hands. The other starts to nod, then to nod harder, then at some phrase of Gribsnick's breaks into a watery little grin. They sidle away from the cage, towards Gribsnick, and begin a rapid 3-way conference of panicked kobold. No rolls needed. The supervisor's corpse and Dagras behind them are the argument. They're with you. Yuri crosses to the cage. The iron key from the first lizard folk is crude, stubby, small-toothed. He slides it into the padlock. Doesn't fit. Wrong shape. This one was for something smaller. He grunts, pulls it out, pockets it again. Sticky John drifts to the north side of the hall and tucks in against the wall where the passage opens. A 10-foot wide corridor running north into deeper dark. He listens. From somewhere down that hall, the distant rhythmic chink-chink-chink of a pickaxe on stone, slow and unsteady. A voice, too far to parse but low and guttural, reptilian, measured, unhurried. Nobody is coming. Yet. Whatever noise reached Caleth hasn't pulled him off his work. Kerwin kneels by the supervisor and works the body. Fingers quick, not squeamish. Priests see worse. What he comes up with, a ring of 2 iron keys on a loop of wire, one long shafted, one short with a square-cut bit. Okay, 13 silver, small bone whistle. Oh, okay, that could be good. Crude dagger at the belt, bone hilted, serviceable. Folded scrap of hide with marks on it. A rough sketch of the room you're standing in with an X on the north wall of a chamber further in. Probably the false tomb digging chamber. A diagram, not a map of the tomb. Looks like where to dig next. Hanging at the lower back of his harness on a loop, a holy symbol of a lizard folk god. Small carved bone, a serpent eating its tail. Smells faintly of old blood. Like, I guarantee that this is not all in the module as far as, like, what's on the body. So it definitely is just making stuff up. But it's like, I can't fault any of this stuff, right? Like, and it's much better than I would have just come up with on the fly. I would have just been like, yeah, you find some silver, I guess. Kerwin tosses Yuri the ring of keys. Yuri tries the short, square-bitted one on the cage padlock. Click. It turns. The hasp springs. The cage door swings open. Dagris, a lean kobold, taller than Gribsnick by a hand, wearing a grimy red scrap tied around one horn like a crown, steps out, rolls his shoulder, and bows low to Verilia. Rabbit friends, he says, having picked up the term from Gribsnick's chatter already. I am in your debt. We have little time. The shaman is in the dig room, just north, past the black and white floor. Step only on white tiles. The black fall away. 2 warriors with him. 2 kobolds with picks. The kobolds will put down tools if I walk in first. The warriors will not. Kaleth. Kaleth is magic. He calls wind and thunder. Do not let him finish a spell. He glances at his own kobolds. I was just thinking of a plan. Now 3 of them, Skreek included, and adds low. Mine will fight if I ask. They will also die quickly. Use them as eyes and noise, not shields. The hall is yours for now. The dig continues to the north. Nobody has come to check on the noise yet. Ball's in your court. Thanks, Claude. All right. Once again, ambush, ambush, ambush. It's the winning strat. It never fails. It never gets old. So I'm thinking using the whistle. And I'm thinking of dousing the room kind of in darkness, or like maybe 1 torch. It's hard to say. They're going to enter very cautiously. No, don't douse anything. No, we want them to specifically not enter cautiously. So we're going to have, let's say Skreek. We're going to have Skreek go back 1 room to that passageway or something that we came from with the whistle. And he's just going to start just blaring it, like, repeatedly. Which is hopefully going to send things coming. And we're going to leave the dead lizard man there. No, we can't leave him there. No, we'll drag him to the passageway as well. So they'll see a streak of blood, but they'll think that he's the one calling for help. So hopefully they'll move somewhat less cautiously. They'll come into the room. We will both be hugging the side of the entryway here, the doorway there. And then we'll do a full alpha strike with the whole crew. I don't know. They have pickaxes, but I don't think there's really many ranged weapon options. There was a dagger. Okay. Here's the plan. Skreek is going to take the whistle and head into the passageway. Passageway we came from, which is also where we're going to drag the lizard folk's body. He's going to repeatedly blast the whistle while the rest of us wait in ambush on the sides of the way, on the sides of the entryway. No, not entryway. Well, entryway to the next room. We'll give Gribsnick the crude dagger to throw. Ideally, I don't know, is that... See, if I say ideally, or if I say I'd like for this to happen, I'm worried that Claude will bend that way. I haven't noticed really anything like that. Like, it's been, like, honestly, like, pretty good DM, and like, it calls for rolls when I feel it should call for rolls, usually, and like, you know... And the DCs are as expected for a D... Like, it's not, oh yeah, it's a DC 4 for this. It's like, fuck off. No, I'll let it do its own interpretation. I don't want to color the DM's interpretation of it. I think that's really all there is to say. And we'll let it think it's through. I mean, there isn't really much else. We're all waiting in ambush. There's a bloodstain. Yeah, I mean, I could cast some buffs, but I don't really have much, right? Yeah, I don't have much. All right, let's just do it. A fair fight is a fight you've already lost. Like, that is the mantra. Every time you're thinking about an engagement is like, you know, any sort of engagement with a hostile foe. It's like, is this going to be a fair fight? And if it is, how can I not make it so, you know? Fast setup. The plan is good. Noise draws them south. The checker tie a hallway slows whoever rushes, and you hit them as they emerge. Positions set. Skreek. Whistle clenched in scaled fingers. A fistful of courage shoved into him by Gripsnick's furious whispering. Scurries south out of the Grand Hall, back into the passage toward the King's Chamber. He'll blow from there, far enough that the sound is diffuse and alarming, close enough the investigators will come this way. The supervisor's corpse. Yuri drags into the south passage and flops it face down in a convincingly something happened here sprawl. A blood trail leads back into the hall for good measure. Yes. Your ambush. The northern entryway of the Grand Hall is a 10-foot arch. Perfect. Yuri tucks against the east side of it, hand axe low, shield raised. Kerwin shadows him behind. Sticky John takes the west side, arrow knocked, line of sight straight down the hallway. Borrelia drops back behind the fallen knight statue in the center of the hall with clean spell lanes to both the arch and anywhere past it. Gripsnick gets the supervisor bone-hilted dagger and a small fierce-eyed lecture from Dagris. He takes position behind Borrelia's statue, weight on his toes. Daggers quietly instructs the two wheelbarrow kobolds. Pickaxes up, hide behind the wheelbarrows, swing only at exposed ankles of anyone bigger than them. They nod, terrified and committed. Amazing. The torches in their iron sconces still burn. The hall is lit. Your positions by the arch are in its shadow, a step out of the warm ring. Skreek begins to blow. The whistle's note is thin, sharp, and wrong in this space. A rising, falling two-tone urgent. He puts real lungs into it. Fee-weep, fee-weep, fee-weep. Echoes come back, doubled off the stone. From the north hallway, a pause in the pickaxe rhythm, then voices, reptilian, terse. A snapped command. The pickaxes don't resume. Footfalls, scaled footfalls, one set, measured, not running. Kaleth is cautious. He sent one. A long beat. A lizardfolk warrior emerges from the dark of Hall 3 into the northern arch of the Grand Hall. Spear up, shield on arms, slit eyes sweeping. He does not step into the torchlight. He stops 2 feet short of the threshold, inside the arch, and listens. He sees an empty hall, cage standing open, a cauldron overturned, a blood trail leading south toward the passage, shrieks, whistles, keening from. He does not see any of you. He takes 1 step forward into the arch itself, spear lowering a hair. He's now within 5 feet of Yuri's axe arm. Sticky John has a clean shot at his flank. All right. Same routine. Yeah, I think, yeah, it's basically, okay. I mean, again, it's like, I don't know how we can not drop this guy. This is perfection. Sticky John, 17 for 2 damage. That was the opposite of last time. Double ones. Valeria. I'm just gonna write success because I already know that's what it's gonna be. Yep, success. 2 damage. This is pretty low. Yuri. He's gonna melee this time. 19 for 5 damage. I'm just gonna roll a d20 for Gribsnick. Ooh. Gribsnick rolled a 19 for a dagger would be 1d4. Oh. God damn, Gribsnick! So that's 2, 4, 9, 13. That's a kill, baby. That's a fucking kill thanks to Gribsnick. He's going to become a party member after this. I'd absolutely make him another thief or something. 4 strikes, 1 breath. Gribsnick's dagger, 19 thrown from a kobold who's probably never thrown one before, spins out of the dark like someone threw it for him and chunks into the lizard folk's upper arm below the shield strap. The warrior flinches hard sideways, shield dropping a hand. Sticky John's arrow punches into the exposed flank under the lowered shield. 2 damage, but it lodges between ribs and stays. Aurelia's missile arcs cleanly from behind the fallen statue, threads the arch, and burrows into the meat under his jaw. 2 more. Yuri's hand axe. He steps in from the wall and buries the blade in the side of the warrior's neck with a wet grunting sound. A wet grunting swing. The lizard folk does not make a sound. His spear drops, his knees fold backward the way lizard folk knees do, and he falls sideways into the arch, half in and half out of it, eyes going milky slit, dead and under a heartbeat. Gribsnick stares at his own empty hand, then at the dagger in the lizard folk arm, then at Yuri. His mouth opens, closes. Oh. Skreek's whistle is still going, far behind you, frantic and unbroken. Then, not silence. The pickaxes have stopped, but there are no returning footsteps, no shout, no curse. Caleth has noticed his scout did not come back. A voice drifts down the hall from somewhere past the black and white tiles. Low, measured, accented, but clearly in common. He wants to be understood. Little thieves, little rabbit thieves. You have killed 2 of my warband. You have opened the prince's cage. I hear the whistle. I am not a fool. Another pause. The voice is closer when it resumes. He's walking, slowly. I want only the blade. Leave the tomb and Caleth forgets you. Stay and Caleth buries you where the night is buried. He stops somewhere in the hall, by the sound just past the middle of the checker floor. Not rushing, not coming into view. Answer. Skreek keeps whistling. Nobody else in the hall moves. How do you answer and how do you move? He's not in sight yet, but he's within earshot and probably within shouting spell range. Well, it's trickier now. To retreat back from the arch, behind cover, and staying out of line of sight. She quietly asks Gribsnick if there are any other ways out of this tomb that Caleth could take. Because if he can't leave any other way than this way, then, you know, he's gonna have to come out at some point. And we will be waiting. If not, if there is another way, then it gets trickier. But we could take the back way. Okay, the party slides back silently. Yuri retreating past the fallen statue, Curran with him, Sticky John ghosting along the west wall to a new line of sight from deeper cover. Dagras catches Virelia's signal and waves his 3 kobolds low behind the wheelbarrow. The arch goes empty except for the dead warrior sprawled half across the threshold. Caleth does not come. He's waiting for an answer, or for another sound he can interpret. Virelia crouches beside Gribsnick behind the fallen knight, voice a bare breath. Are there other ways out? Gribsnick thinks hard, eyes squinted. Crest ticks back and forth. Then he shakes his head. 2 ways, he whispers. Only 2. Front, where rabbit friends come in. And hole, blown hole, inside room, other side of this hall. He jerks his chin east, towards the east doorway of the grand hall that you can see from here, opening onto a short passage that goes to the side entrance. Broom kobold there, hole and wall to outside. Caleth could run that way, but through here. He taps the floor. Through this room, no other. Past big place, no. Dig room is dead end. Walls, walls. He adds, Caleth not dumb. He knows this. He want the blade. Blade not out yet. He's stuck with blade until he go through you. Dagras crouched nearby overhears and nods slowly. It is true, no tunnels. The shaman is cornered, and he will come. Which means Caleth is bottled. His only exits are back through the room or through the side entrance hole, and both are now on your side of the map. He can retreat deeper into the dig room, but there's nothing there except pickaxes, 2 kobolds, and a dead-end wall they've been failing to breach. Okay. See, I like that he even remembered Skreek is still going at it until we told him to stop. It's like, yeah, I never told him when to stop, so you're right. We'll signal him to stop. He's a cornered rat. That's right. What is he gonna do? What's he gonna do, baby? We got all the food. He has to have his food brought to him. He's got nothing. This is game, set, match. Oh man, it's running commands. Oh, it's finding spells. Uh-oh. Fuck. Why are you looking up spells, DM? Why are you in the spell section of the book? Ripsnick pads south on silent feet, crests low, and a moment later screeks or whistle chokes off mid-note. The two kobolds return to the ring of torchlight in the grand hall and tuck themselves low beside Dagris. Silence takes over. It has weight. The torches hiss in their sconces. Water drips somewhere. The cauldrons spill, cooling. You can hear your own breathing. You can hear Yuri's chainmail when he shifts, very slightly, against the arch. You can hear faintly the wet rasp of the dead lizard folk's last breath having left his throat. Nothing from the hall. A minute. 2. Kaleth is waiting too. And then he breaks first. Scales scrape on stone. Slow, deliberate. 2 sets of feet. One heavier, one lighter. They are not rushing, they are stalking. From the sounds, one footfall is skipping. A careful hop, step, hop, step, hop, step pattern. That's a creature picking its way around the pit trap tiles. The lighter footfalls stay near the middle of the hall. The heavier ones are on flank ahead. A voice close now, perhaps 20 feet down the hall, barely past the arch, low and almost amused. Rabbit thieves do not answer. Rabbit thieves hide. Kaleth will come see the rabbits. One lizard folk warrior steps into view at the edge of the arch, just his shield and the tip of his spear past the threshold, and the rest of him behind the archstone. He's covering. He does not step into the hall. He's waiting for his master. Behind and slightly to the side, further back in the hall, you catch the silhouette. A leaner lizard folk, taller than the warriors, hooded in a cloak of overlapping lizard skins, holding a twisted staff in one clawed hand. The staff's head is a bundle of bones and feathers. He stops outside the torchlight's reach, just inside the hall. You can see him. He cannot quite see past the arch into the room. The torchlight blinds him a little. Kaleth has a spell ready. You can see his free hand weaving slow patterns in the air. The warrior is in the arch. Kaleth is about 15 feet behind him in the hallway, staff in hand, hand waving. You have right now the initiative. He has not attacked, but he's plainly going to. Declare. You can still act before him if you strike now. Surprise is tighter this time since he knows you're somewhere in the room, but he does not have eyes on any of you yet. I mean, clarify. Do I have surprise or not? Yeah, I wouldn't... If I were DMing... No, I wouldn't give surprise. I would give auto initiative, though. Fair question. Not surprised. Both sides know combat is imminent. Kaleth is called out. You've declined to answer. He's advancing with spell ready and warrior screening him. Neither side is caught flat-footed. This is the moment initiative is rolled for, not a free round. But you do have positional advantage. Kaleth can't see you through the torchlight arch. He's in the dark hall. You're tucked in shadow behind cover and statues. Your first attacks this round will be from concealment, which I'll rule gives advantage on the first attack roll for each party member who hasn't moved into his line of sight yet. Sticky John, Varelia is still hidden. Yuri is right at the arch. If he leans out to swing, no advantage. He's in the torchlight. Questionable. You're gonna say I don't have surprise. Okay, well, yeah, no, I suppose. He's giving us advantage, but he's not taking away Kaleth's first turn. It's not a surprise round. I suppose that's the compromise, and I think that's pretty good. Now, he's going to have us roll initiative, but the thing is, I imagine we would want to all fail, or we would all hold our position, because... Now, he is casting a spell, though, so he is planning on blasting the room. Okay. So we're going to roll dex checks for everybody. Kerwin gets a -1. Varelia rolls a 1, so she gets a luck token. Sticky John gets a 20 total. And Yuri gets a 19 total. -1 for Kerwin, good God. Crit fail for Varelia, earning her a luck token. 20 for John. And 19 for Yuri. I mean, it's pretty much as good as I could have hoped for, right? I mean, the gig was up. The jig was up. The jig was up. The gig was up. The jig was up, I think. So the best we could have hoped for is isolating it down to 2 of them, and we get advantage on our attack rolls. So it's ruling that her first action will be a disadvantage, which is the OSR ruling for a Nat 1 initiative. I think that's just Claude's ruling. But hey, he's the fucking DM. Who am I to argue? I don't think it's really that unreasonable. I could see why a lot of people would be against it and not want it, but I think it's reasonable. Roll 2d20s. +1 to each for the Lizard Folk Warrior and Caleth's initiative. Tell me both results. I'll slot them in and open the round. Concealment advantage still stands on Sticky John and Aurelia's first attacks. Yuri's going to lean in a torchlight to swing, so no advantage for him. Kerwin the same if he acts offensively at the arch. Okay. Alright. So we'll do the Warriors. Ooh. Also rolled a Nat 1. Oh, you rolled a crit. Okay. Jesus. 1 and a 20. Okay, well, if the warrior also gets disadvantage on its first action, that's pretty good. But if Caleth, that means he just basically automatically goes first. Well, even if he didn't automatically go first, he got a 21, so he goes first. So that's bad, but he can't see any of us. I would imagine that has some downsides on his spellcasting, but I'm curious. He's apparently going for Gust. Gust of Wind. Is this a spell that exists? No, this is not a Shadowdark spell. I don't think it's a spell. I think it's a part of his character block, his stat block. Okay. Caleth acts. The spell-weaving hand is already in motion. He takes a long stride forward around his warrior's shield side and into the torchlight at the edge of the arch. His hood falls back. You get a clean look now. A lean, high-crested lizard folk, scales near black, eyes very yellow, a streak of dried pigment down his snout. His slit pupils find Yuri instantly, the only target in plain sight, a stout dwarf with an axe at his warrior's flank. He snaps the staff outward and snarls a word of power. Air compresses, ripples. He's casting Gust on Yuri. A directed hammer blow of wind meant to pitch Yuri backward onto the arch and break the flank. Alright, so he's going to make a spellcasting check, d20 plus 3. If he succeeds, Yuri must make a strength check to resist being shoved 10 feet back and knocked prone. If he fails to cast, the spell sputters. Alright, so 1d20 plus 3. It's a 13. I imagine that's a success. And then Yuri must make a strength check. I'm going to actually clarify. Because he has grit, strength, and which is against an opposing force. 13 on the spell casting check. Actually, sometimes it cuts off the number if I do it that way. So 13 on the spell casting. Would I rule it? Yeah, I guess if I were the DM, I would rule it. It's specifically... It already responded, but you have advantage on checks of that type to overcome an opposing force. Yeah. Gives advantage on strength checks to overcome an opposing force. Directed hammer wind is exactly that. Okay, it added an extra 3 to the spellcasting check, but I think it's fine. I can't imagine 13 wasn't a success. All right, yes, he has advantage. So Yuri was a great target for that then. The gust hits Yuri like a swung door. His cloak blasts straight back, his beard whips sideways, his boots skid an inch on the flagstones. But dwarves are built low, and Yuri is built lower than most. He plants the shield into the stone, leans into the wind, and the spell breaks around him like water on a rock. The shock front disperses with a sound like a slammed shutter, and he is still exactly where he was, axe still up. Caleth's slit eyes narrow. He has spent his turn. Sticky John is up. He's still in concealment, advantage on the first attack, and Caleth, having stepped forward to cast, is now exposed in the arch. Clean shot past the warrior's shield side. I will ask again, does Sticky John get backstab from this? I would say, I mean, yeah, I like my house rules where anytime you have advantage, you get it. But if the whole point is that he is unaware of my position, I would imagine that counts as backstab. So I think I'd probably rule yes. If you're going to give me advantage, he knows there are enemies in the room, but he does not know where Sticky John is, cannot see him. The shot is coming out of concealed shadow and an exposed target. Yep. It's all good. So he does get backstab. He's been getting it like gangbusters tonight. 14 for 6 damage. Yep, that's good. Sticky John rises from shadow behind the wheelbarrow, just enough to clear his line, draws to the ear, releases. The arrow splits the torchlight. Clean hit. It punches through the overlapping lizard skin cloak and drives into Caleth's shoulder, just missing the staff arm. 6 damage. The shaman grunts, staggers a half step back, the staff wobbling in his grip. Black-red blood wells through the scales. He's hurt, but he's standing. His yellow eyes snap to the shadow Sticky John shot from. Now he knows. Sticky John is marked. Yuri is up. The warrior still at the arch with shield raised, spear ready. Caleth is a step behind the warrior, and the arch himself now wounded. So he can melee the warrior. He could throw the hand axe at Caleth. He could grapple bull rush the warrior. The arch is, there's no opportunity attacks in Shadowdark. So Yuri will step around the warrior to get at Caleth. He rolls normal. A 22 for 4 damage. Pretty good. Pretty good. Pretty good shit. Yeah, that's the thing with Shadowdark, is there's really not much way, or not great ways within a combat itself to control the battlefield, you really need to depend on terrain more than anything else, doorways and things like that. So yeah. Yuri pivots on his shield foot, sidesteps past the warrior's spear side, and brings the hand axe over in a rising chop. A brutally clean strike. The axe takes Caleth across the ribs under his staff arm, splitting cloak, harness, and scale. The shaman sucks in air through his teeth and twists away with a hiss, blood darkening the front of his cloak. He staggers 2 steps back into the mouth of the arch, staff hand dropping. He almost loses the staff. Almost. He's visibly blooded. Near half his fight left in him, hurt badly, moving like a man whose ribs are wrong now. Yuri is now inside the arch past the warrior. The warrior's at his back. Kerwin is up. He's with Varelia behind the fallen statue. Yeah, and it's listing all my fun options. Yeah, okay. I think he's just going to throw a dagger. I could prompt to see if it wants to modify the roll or anything, but we'll just roll to kind of keep things moving along, and it can change if it wants. Although technically, if I'm behind the fucking statue, I should have advantage. I'm gonna just roll twice. and see if it wants to say anything. It might modify it, but okay. So I rolled a 9, and then I rolled a crit. Yeah, a 3 damage wasn't a great crit or anything, but hey, he sounds like he's almost dead anyways. We'll see. Yeah, I mean, it's his own, it's Claude's internal logic that it was applying this advantage if you were concealed. I thought it originally said Kerwin was by the arch, and I don't know why he would ever be by the arch, so I much more agree with this. But that is the thing. Like, it is going to struggle with larger scale theater of the mind combat, and that's why I could set up a tactical grid, and then it theoretically would never be mistaken. Concealment advantage granted. Crit. Kerwin steps a half pace out from the statue's cover, murmurs a word to his god, a steady hand guide me, and flicks the dagger underhand. Okay. Damn. It spins once across the hall and buries itself to the hilt in the soft scale hollow of Caleth's throat, just above the collarbone. Caleth makes a wet, punched-out sound. His head tilts. Dark blood courses down the cloak in a sheet. He goes to one knee, staff thumping the stone, free hand clawing at the dagger. He's on the edge of death, barely upright, a shred of life left in him, and the next hit is the last. Warrior's up, crit fail initiative, disadvantage on first action. He sees Yuri past him, axe raised over his wounded master. He pivots, shield swinging wide, and drives the spear at Yuri's flank. A desperate, disadvantage stab. Alright, he's got disadvantage, +2 to the roll. Yeah. So he rolled a crit fail. So I think I mentioned as a house rule that if you're in melee and you roll a natural 1, the opponent gets a free attack. It should reference that. It should reference the house rule. Let's see if it does. The warrior lunges. The spear tip catches Yuri's shield rim at an ugly angle, skids off with a shriek of metal, and drives into the gap between two flagstones, where it jams. The warrior, already off balance, pitches forward into the archstone with a thud and has to haul backward to pull the spear free. He's open. Okay, so it did not mention... I'm almost certain I mentioned in the instructions. If you can even, okay. House rules. Luck token. Nat 1 in melee, free enemy attack. Oh, it specifically said player. Oh, it shouldn't have done that. Yeah, okay. It shouldn't have done that. Alright, I'm going to remind it. We're just going to... Okay. He rolled a natural 1. My house rule should allow Yuri a free attack against it. Okay, that's my fault, I guess. I didn't actually read through the instructions, because of course Claude wrote the whole instruction block based on what I said. So I must have just not worded my house rule correctly. But yeah, it applies to any creature. Yes, it's symmetric. I can't fault Claude. Saving that as a standard and house rule refinement, so I apply it consistently going forward. And it's writing into a file. Boom. Feedback into memory. The future at our fingertips, baby. The warrior's spear comes in high, disadvantaged, off balance, and the one is catastrophic. The butt of the shaft catches on the edge of the archstone. The point glances off Yuri's shield, and the warrior is wide open for a heartbeat with the spear trapped against the wall. Free attack from Yuri, baby. 22 for 4 damage. Dude, Yuri is fucking slam-a-damming today. Just everything getting slashed apart with his hand axe. Claude's gonna think I'm cheating. Except I'm pretty sure it can read Foundry's rolls. But it might think I'm cheating. Yuri's free swing comes in hard while the warrior is still pinned. 22 versus AC 14. Clean hit. The hand axe bites into the warrior's shoulder above the harness, slicing through leather into meat. The warrior yelps, a sharp reptilian bark, wrenches free and falls back half a step, spear dripping. Wounded, not bloodied, still in the fight. Vareli is up, disadvantage on her first action. Kaleth is kneeling at the arch dagger and throat, one breath from death. The warrior is wounded. She has a luck token in the pool if she wants to burn it. She's already used sleep once today, so casting again today treats a failed check as a critical failure. That's not a rule. That's definitely not. That, I don't know where it got that. That is a very strange hallucination. Yeah, that does not exist, so I'll have to correct it on that. Yeah, she's going to use Magic Missile. It's going to drop it down to just a regular roll, but she has decent chance of it succeeding, and she will use her luck token if she fails. Alright, she failed, so she'll use the luck token. Got it. And theoretically, she only needs 1 damage, but we'll see. First roll was a 6. Yeah, done. Good. Yeah. Hopefully it's just 1 damage. I mean, the way that the DM described it, he was pretty... He's got a fucking dagger in his throat, man. What more do you want? It's moot. It's moot. The DM says it's moot, so just move on. Okay. Varelia steps out from behind the fallen statue, palm open, lips shaping the syllables. A silver bolt knits itself out of the air at her fingertip. Kaleth, kneeling, dagger in throat, staff fallen from his hand, lifts his eyes to her. Slit pupils already going glassy, and the missile threads the arch and strikes him between the eyes. Not much left to kill. 1 damage is plenty. Kaleth topples sideways across the threshold. The staff clatters from his claws, the bundle of bones and feathers bouncing once on the stone. He twitches once and is still. Kaleth is dead. His whole warband within the space of 5 minutes has been annihilated. 2 warriors dead in the clearing, 1 dead at his feet. The shaman he serves murdered in front of him. No one in the party side is hurt. HP all at starting values. Morale trigger fires immediately. Leader fall inside, bloodied, outnumbered. Rulebook DC 15 wisdom for the warrior. D20 plus 1. Okay. Yeah, I find I generally have to state total, because if I just say that he rolled a 9, it thinks that I didn't apply the plus 1. So I think it doesn't actively check every roll that I make in Foundry. The warrior's eyes go from his dead master to Yuri's axe to the arrow still pointed at his heart from across the hall to the cage standing open to Dagras watching him from behind the wheelbarrow with an expression of cold-blooded Prince Kobold satisfaction. He drops the spear. It clatters on the stone, loud in the silence. Then the shield more carefully. It slides off his arm and he lets it fall flat. He lowers himself to 1 knee, palms turned up, scaled head bowed. A low, rattling phrase in reptilian. None of you speak it, but the meaning is plain. Surrender. Combat ends. The Grand Hall is yours. Far to the north, past the checker tile hallway, you can hear faint high voices, kobold voices, and the scrape of something dropped. The two digging kobolds in Caleth's chambers have heard the silence. They are not coming out. Dagras straightens, dusts off his grubby red rag of a crown, and looks at the party with genuine, almost startled respect. You have broken his warband in one sunrise, he says quietly. His own god could not do this. God damn. No damage taken this session. Fuck yeah, baby. No torches used. Nothing. No spells lost. We've got kobold allies. Let's wrap this up and summarize. We hand over the surrendered lizard folk to Dagras to let him decide. We loot the place as extensively as we can. Yeah, so I mean, this has gone on long enough, but I wanted to kind of wrap this up in one video because it wouldn't have made. I mean, we could have done maybe a second part of actually doing the dungeon, but I felt like this was good. This was really the big victory, so we'll take it. We'll see what it says about sort of just, sort of like a one shot basically, of just like we won the day. Just narrated for us of what we all earned and achieved. Wrap. Dagras accepts the surrendered warrior with a slow nod. He circles the kneeling lizardfolk once, kicks the drop spear out of reach, and issues a curt order in Reptilian. The warrior flinches but doesn't resist as Gripsnick and one of the wheelbarrow kobolds bind his wrists behind him. We will ask him what he knows, Dagras says, and then we will decide. My kobolds have grievances. Some of mine are dead by his hand. His tone makes it plain the warrior will not see the end of the week. That is not your problem now. While Dagras handles the prisoner, the party sweeps the tomb, carefully, keeping to what Gripsnick says is safe. Alright, so there's some pickaxes, 2 shovels, a sledge. Stolen from the miners, worth returning for the bounty if Sheriff Caro pays for stolen goods. Yeah, see, this is stuff I could have mentioned at the start. Also a small pouch tied under the dead supervisor's armor, 9 gold pieces. Nice. Digging chamber. The kobolds there surrender. Caleth's belongings piled on the dais, a leather pouch with 24 gold pieces, a small uncut agate, 20 gold pieces, set of scroll cases wrapped in oilskin, 2 scrolls, sealed, you don't read them here, Varelia stashes them for study, and a fetish charm of bones and black feathers matching his staff. Dagras kobolds divide Caleth's dried rations and a stash of dried river frog among themselves with solemn enthusiasm. In the side entrance, the broom kobold. Golden wedding ring, undersized for a human hand. Matches the description of Nora Greymoss's lost ring. Pocket it. That's a 30 gold piece reward waiting in town. Okay. We ended up getting a potion of healing. 1d8 because Kerwin is lawful. And the Grand Hall passage. 20 feet of ceiling, 15 feet up, wedged in a crack between 2 stones, is a tarnished dagger with a square-bladed, square-tipped 12-inch blade. Yuri boosts Sticky John onto his shoulders. Sticky John climbs the seams of the wall from there and works the dagger free with his own blade. It's a key-shaped dagger, clearly not meant for stabbing. What it opens, you'll learn later. You leave alone the ivy-choked passage. The Squire's crypt. Gripsnick shudders and says, "Bone men walk there. Clack, clack, never stop." And the large statue's secret door in King's chamber. You see the brass plate with its square hole now and suspect it matches the square dagger, but you've had enough fighting for one day. So, 33 gold in coin, 20 gold small agate, the 30 gold reward for the ring, 20 silver and change, 2 sealed scrolls unidentified, 1 potion of healing, square-bladed key dagger, some tools, the fetish, the holy symbol, a crude dagger, bone whistle, and folded dig diagram. You leave Dagras and his kobolds in possession of the tomb for now. He sees you to the stone archway himself, bowing low, the red rag on his horn catching the late sun. You are friends of kobolds. You will always find welcome in the woods of Crestmoor. And if you return for the Dead Knight's sword, Dagras will not stop you. Skreek sniffles at his elbow. Gripsnick pounds his own chest once in an approximation of a human salute. The clearing is quiet behind you as you walk back to the trail. The cook fire is burned low. The rabbit is a charred little husk on the spit. Afternoon is going over into gold. No damage taken all session. No torches burned. Crawling kit's still full. You got some allies. Kaleth's warband was destroyed. Nora's ring was recovered. Well, let's stroke my ego. How would you rate my performance in that session out of 10? Let's see if it's brutally honest or not. Solid 8.5 out of 10. Standout moves: using sleep to capture the outside guards alive instead of killing them. Turn 2 throwaway mooks into a faction lever that carried the entire rest of the session. Good cop, bad cop interrogation was clean roleplay that gave you priceless intel for free. No check needed because the setup did the work. Poisoning the stew is the kind of thinking the module absolutely wants you to do. Would have worked even better except for Gripsnick's unfortunate charisma roll. And using the confiscated whistle as an ambush lure with Skreek as the decoy was inspired. That's a tool the module never points at. You invented it from the fiction. 2 things kept you off a 9+. Light discipline slipped once. You caught my continuity error about the torchlight, which was good, but you also never actually established your own light plan. And if that ambush had gone sideways, you'd have been flailing in the dark. Decide on light before you descend next time. Okay, I mean, I guess if for some reason all the lights in the place went out, but they're just as fucked as I am, and I have a light spell. So, you know, I don't know. That seems unfair. You got lucky on hit points. Not a performance issue per se, but worth naming. You took 0 damage all session, which is rare at level 1 in Shadowdark. The Kobold's nat 1 on Charisma, then the Warrior's nat 1 on the disadvantage attack, then Kerwin's crit. That's 3 dice breaking your way at inflection points. The strategy was sound, but the dice were also kind. Okay, why does that keep me... This is just like one of those guys that just refuses to actually rate high. Like 8.5 is as high as it goes. You consistently checked your resources, asking about grit, asking about backstab. You corrected me when I was wrong instead of letting it slide, and you committed to bits once you decided on them. The Rabbit Friend Alliance became a real thing, not a joke. That's the stuff that makes solo play actually work. Okay. What's my XP total for each character? Didn't actually mention that. If I had to adjudicate, yeah, God, not much. The scrolls, I suppose, would be 1 each. The potion, 1 each. Maybe 1 more for the rest of the stuff. Depends. Or maybe 2 XP for actually resolving it in the way that we resolved it. I would say 6 would probably be where I'd be at. But it's always interesting to see a second opinion. Oh, it's thinking, baby. It's doing some heavy thonking. All right, well, while we wait, I guess we can talk about that. Now, personally, I thought that was pretty fucking awesome. I thought that was an experience that I have never been able to achieve in my normal way of playing solo. Because I didn't know. I mean, you watching it, if you paid attention to this and everything, you were watching this, you didn't know, unless you read the module beforehand. You didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know what was going to happen. It was just this beautiful kind of RPG experience. All right. It went with 8 XP, so leaning towards the generous side. It gave 1 for the Hall of Coins, which I agreed. 1 for the potion, I agreed. 1 for the 2 scrolls, so actually I was a bit less on that. Or it was a bit less than I would be on that. It gave 3, however, for the square-bladed key dagger, the Tomb's plot key. That's questionable. I don't know if I'd ever really do something like that. I mean, it is like... I suppose, but yeah, I can't imagine most DMs would give 3 for that. It also gave 1 for the wedding ring recovered, which, completing a side quest and getting a chunk of gold for it, I could probably agree with something like that. And getting the faction alliance as like sort of a boon and getting an XP for that. That is kind of in the rulebook, so I'll give them that. But then, okay, so then it also gave individual clever thinking bonuses. And this is something I practically never do as a DM because I don't have any clever players to do anything clever ever. It was generous this session because it was consistently well played. Kerwin, Blessing Vessel Recognition plus crit Throat Dagger on Caleth. I mean, I would not give XP. And I think it's funny that it gave equal amounts of XP to every character. So it's all balanced. But fuck it, you know. Sticky John, the Hemlock Forge, and the Whistle Ambush design. Aurelia, Opening Sleep, turn enemies into assets, plus good cop extraction of intel. Yuri, the bad cop presence, plus tactical sidestep pass to get a Caleth. Yeah, I mean, we brought him down easy, and Yuri fucking tanked that gust of air. So all of them hit exactly 10 XP to get to level 2. I mean, it's perfect. Then it says fighters get a talent roll at level 2, so that's just incorrect. Yeah, so it's just like that. If you would have said like 2 years ago that I would be playing solo RPG with an LLM and I would like love it, like I would have said, I really can't imagine. Like, it just seems so, it seems so far off and far-fetched a couple years ago. But it's like, yeah, it got a couple things wrong. Like, even there, like saying fighters get a talent level 2. Like, it's really supposed to consult the rulebook constantly, but even still, like, that was a solid session. Like, if you just sat down at a table for Shadowdark and that was the DM experience, like, you'd say, okay, he's maybe a little verbose. You know, he kind of talks a lot, and he shouldn't say sometimes what the character's doing. Like, that's up to the player to decide. But beyond that, like, my God, this guy has like an incredible vocabulary, and he's really flowery and like describing everything in detail, and he's like pretty fair of a DM. And he's like never gets upset or angry, or, you know, like, it's just like, it's pretty good, right? And it allows me to just play without knowing what's happening. That's just amazing. So, you know, it's hard to say if we went larger scale than this. Like, I would be a lot iffier of like, hey, run me through Evils of Ilmire. Like, you're talking about just way more context and stuff. But like, if it can write repeatedly to a file or something, and we can set it up, like, I'd probably have to set something up a bit more specific to run a larger hex crawl like that. But maybe. But just like a single dungeon like that, and you arrive at the dungeon and you play through the dungeon, like, it can handle that clearly. Like, I enjoyed it. I'm not gonna say that I'll never go back to playing solo the way I used to, because I do think that is a valuable thing of just like me discussing mechanics and how I want to like when I'm doing like DM prep, when I want to DM something for my family, like, it's more valuable for me to do it that way, so I can actually go over like how I would adjudicate things or how I'd run things and stuff. This is really more just me getting to finally play an OSR game, and I think I did pretty well. I think all my experience and discussions and stuff have kind of paid off there a little bit. I did get somewhat lucky, but like I said, you need to just not have fair fights. Everything has to be some sort of advantage in your favor, and then the dice rolls are not, you know, you can alleviate bad dice rolls with good planning, and that's key. So hell yeah. This is running quite long, but just out of curiosity, I'm curious to look at the I'm curious to look at the module. Okay, so this is one thing that never came up. And honestly, I would have probably skipped it as well. If I was DMing this small of an adventure, I would not have done random encounter checks in there. Like, I think that it was very clear and concise. I think the only thing that you maybe might be able to argue is that like his war band of lizard folk was pretty small. Like, it's kind of impressive, but I guess there weren't that many kobolds either. It was just like generally a small operation. So there's the map of the Knight's Tomb. And yeah, so that's where the side entrance was. I think this is where we did the big battle and everything. So yeah, we came in here. There were 2 doors. Yep, that was correct. And the left one was bad. We went through the right. And then we went into... I assume we went into... Did we go to C or D? King's Chamber. Yeah, we went into C. Okay, so both doors lead to the same room. We didn't go to D at all, which was the Squire's Crypt. Oh, because they mentioned that there was dead men in there and stuff. Right, so we avoided that entirely, which makes sense. I mean, it all makes sense, right? And then from the King's Chamber, there was a secret door, which we never noticed. I think it's possible they didn't... Oh, that's where the brass plate was. The brass plate is behind the large statue and opens that secret door. Yeah, so we didn't ever pop that open, which opens H and G and H mostly. Right, I see. So instead, we went over to F, which was the big room, the Grand Hall. There's one lizard folk warrior in there, and then Daggerus in a cage. Yup. Holy shit, like, it really nailed it, didn't it? Like, it did not fuck up anything. That YAML approach really did everything. The false tomb approach with the hidden pit traps. Yup. And then the false tomb. You had Caleth with the lizard folk warrior that, yeah, was accompanying him, and the 2 kobolds stayed in there. Caleth was level 2. Oh, he was level 2. Fuck, we could have slept him. Yeah. Okay, I could have ended that fight a lot easier then, but I think we ended it appropriately. He had Gust, DC 11 plus 3. Okay, he could have used it on near-size Q, but he specifically just blasted Yuri. And it would have just slammed him 10 feet away. It wouldn't have done much. And torches in the area have a 50% chance of going out. That could have been dangerous, but like I said, he needs light to see as well. Like, it's very important to remember that humanoid monsters, humanoid creatures, are not dark adapted. Only monstrous creatures. Yeah, he probably would have been better off than using Thunderclap on Yuri, but because there would be no save there. It's just straight 1d4 damage. Oh, wait, his staff... Oh, no, his staff's not a +2. That's just his attack bonus. I was about to say. Yeah. So, as far as I can tell, it got, like, all the numbers right for enemies and their positions and everything like that. There was one guy in the King's Chamber. There was one in the Grand Hall. There was one in the False Tomb with Caleth. That was all correct. And it got all the layout of the dungeon exactly right. It didn't hallucinate any extra rooms, doors, nothing like that. It was all perfect. It was like fucking impressive. And it decided to skip the random encounters, which I think is good and correct. I would agree with that. And yeah, I mean, everything right. And like I said, like, you know, when we killed that one lizard folk that was in the King's Chamber, it doesn't mention anything on his body whatsoever. But Claude just was like, what would be on this thing's body? Let me just make that up, which is what a DM would and should do. if you were a good DM. Like, I would come up with that list if I was a good DM. So yeah, like I'm just, yeah, that's why I said I had to kind of share this. And I know it's like, I know if you're the type of person that's just fundamentally opposed to AI, you probably didn't watch this whole thing, but you know, you would probably say like, Mang, you could go out into the world. You could find another human being. You could have them DM for you. Maybe you find some long lost soul out there that is just hoping to DM for one person online or something like that. And it's like, maybe I don't know. I don't know. But this way, like, I get to sit here. It's like 4:30 a.m. at night, and I get to sit here on my own at my own pace, have my own personal DM for whatever module I want to run, whatever game I want to run, and I can also record it and just like talk through the whole thing and comment on it and all that good fun. Like, this is great. This is fucking great. So I'm gonna keep working with Claude to kind of slightly improve it, maybe fix a few other couple things. But it's damn good, and I think we're gonna do more of this. And I'm probably gonna keep this same party because I like everybody, and I might. I guess I didn't really read the parts of the dungeon I didn't go into, so maybe when we come back, we'll finish up the rest of the actual tomb part. That might be a bit more dangerous and a bit harder to like ambush stuff, but we'll be level 2, so that'll help. And I might try to recruit Gribsnick as a hireling, or you know, as just like an ally. Or at the very least, a mascot for the party. And then after that, yeah, maybe we'll go to another module. I specifically have to find modules now, though, that I have not played. And the other thing is, like, I'm definitely iffy on running a module not written for Shadowdark. Like, if it has to... if it has to convert mechanics or something, that might be a bit more of a concern and be a bit more of like a balance issue. Eventually it'll be worth a test, but we'll see. It might be worth ahead of time running it through Claude independently and just be like, convert this module to Shadowdark. You know, but it's hard to say. But yeah, like I'm very impressed, and that was a lot of fun. So, and like Claude was funny. I mean, I laughed, I cried, I was very concerned about Gribsnick dying there. It was scary, but everything worked out, and it's good. So there you have it. My name is Mang. This has been Solo Roll Manging, and I'll see you fine folks in the next part.